Hey, what's up guys, it's Jamie. Today I want to show you how to use Chrome Developer Tools, which is critically important if you want to be a web developer of any caliber. You've got to be able to debug things using the Chrome Developer Tools. So if you're on Mac, you can press Command-Alt-I, and that'll open it. If you're on Windows or Linux, that's going to be Control-Alt-I. Okay, now once you have it open, on the right hand side you'll see this element view, and if you click this little mouse icon, you can actually hover over things within your site and you can see like what elements they are. So as soon as you click on one, it'll highlight that element in the element view here. If you're clicked over here in the element view, you can also use the arrow keys to scroll up and down and see what everything is. So you can see that like this center content here has like padding on the sides, so padding of 16 pixels according to this diagram here. So that's always really helpful to try and figure out like how styling is getting applied and like what's causing something to look the way it is. Also down here you can see the developer logs, so anything that is logged will be logged here. So for example, if I wanted to log like hello world, console.log hello world. So this is actually executing JavaScript within the console. However, any logs that you have within your own JavaScript on your website, those will all log here, okay, and that includes errors. So if you have a bug, first place you want to check is this console, alright? Unless it's like a styling bug, then you'll probably want to check up here, make sure your styles are being applied to an element. So to see the styles applied to an element, you click on that element, and then down here in the styles section, you'll see all of the styles applied to this guy. You can in fact even like toggle these on or off. So like if I toggle this font off, then it changes the font to whatever the default is, which it looks like that's Times for this site. So I'll turn that back on. Alright, and another awesome thing which you can do inside of Chrome is you can apply your own styles to see how they're going to look. So like if I click in this little element style, when I have this element selected here, I can test out styles. Like I could add a like float left, and then I can see, oh, that floats all the text left. That doesn't look very good. Or I could like text align it left, and then it'll align it there. So what I do normally when I'm coding a website and I need to rapidly write styles, I'll write the styles in here for a given element, and then right before I need to go and make another change, I'll copy the styles, paste it into my CSS file, and then reload the page, make sure those styles worked out, and then so that's like a quick way to write styles and then apply them without having to like go back, write it, check again. Because like this has some awesome features like if I wanted to change the padding here, I could just click in here and then hold the up arrow key, and that'll actually change the padding. So it's a very good interface for styling CSS and figuring out styling bugs. Another thing you can do is look over here in the sources. Here you'll see all of the files loaded for your website. So this essentially is your website, is all of these files. So it looks like we have an index file, and this is just going to be like a really long and squished version of your code. So that's what's called minified HTML. The server likes to send tiny files because it's a lot faster, whereas like bigger files would take longer. So we have some other files, like any other files for like styles or like icons will show up here. I'm using Google Analytics, so that shows up. This is another Google Analytics thing, so like all of your libraries and whatnot will be here. Also like all of your icons and stuff. So this is a great place to make sure like like if you're trying to solve a bug, like first of all, is the code loaded on the page? And then like if it is, you can start debugging from there. Like, oh, you can actually set breakpoints in here, which is super helpful. So if you want to set a breakpoint, which if you're not familiar, that's just like it'll stop your code from executing so you can debug and see what's wrong. This is more helpful in like more complicated sites where maybe you have like some algorithm where like you click a button and then it like searches through a list and finds the item in the list which matches a string or something like that. So if that's the case and you need to debug that sort of code, you come down here and then you click on search. And by the way, if this bottom part isn't showing, press escape while you're in any of these views except console. That will toggle this console bar where you can add any of these things. So search is one of them. So with search, you're searching all of your code. So if I search for like content, then we'll find all of the places in my code where I typed content. So to debug your own code, you would search for whatever identifier you think would be good, like some line of code you know is in there, and then identify it, you click on that, and then you can click here, and you can make a breakpoint, and as soon as your program reaches that moment, it'll pause the execution, freeze the page, and you can use these little icons here to like resume, step over, or step into an instruction. If you're interested in that, maybe I'll make a separate video on that sometime, but basically just know that this exists and you can use breakpoints to debug your code if you so please. Okay, finally guys, this is the last important thing in the developer tools that's commonly used. Basically what it is a record of all web requests that your site makes. So like if your site were like loading different items, like for instance when I load the blog, it makes a request to load all of these different icons from my source code because it didn't need them before, so it made a request. And these images are stored just inside of Firebase, so I didn't load them before, but when I loaded this page, it loads them up, and then we can see, okay, what kind of request is this? This is a GET request. It tells you all the sorts of information about this request. It was successful, 200. So yeah, very useful if you want to make sure that you're getting the proper data if you're trying to debug something, or you can actually pop this open on anyone's site and just see what kind of requests they're making. So I don't know if you're curious or whatever, but yeah, that's a really useful tab. And I think that's pretty much all I wanted to show you guys for this tutorial. Thanks a lot for watching. Let me know if you like this in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video.